Today, we're going back to basics. Whether you have just bought your first Apple Watch or are upgrading from an older generation, this is the video for you. I will cover everything you need to know, from the Apple Watch's top essential features to showing you how to optimize your watch in terms of settings, battery life, as well as performance. Now, I'll be demonstrating this on my new Apple Watch SE. However, this video also applies to the Apple Watch Series 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, but basically from the Series 3 and up. In other words, all currently supported Apple Watch models. This video will make your experience better, helping you get the most out of your Apple Watch and WatchOS. Let's get started. Alright, so first things first, let's go ahead and assemble the watch. Now in the box, your Apple Watch will come in separate pieces. So first we have the Apple Watch face as well as the band, and this will come in either 1, 2, 3 different pieces. If you have the sports band like I do, this will come in 3 separate sections. So first we have the buckle portion of the band, and then we have 2 different sizes for the second half. So we'll have a small to medium as well as a medium to large. Now, as someone with 55mm wrists, I find the small to medium to be the perfect size. So let's go ahead and attach the bands to the watch. Now, one of the nice things about the Apple Watch is the fact that they have this super easy to use, simple mechanism that has also stayed the same over the years, meaning you can use a variety of first as well as third-party bands. So the first thing you're going to want to do is see how you want to orient your watch depending on which wrist you wear it. Now, as someone who is left-handed, I do wear my watch on my right wrist. And with that, I suggest actually rotating the watch upside down so that the digital crown sits on the lower left side of the screen rather than the upper right, where you would have to cover the screen to reach it. So we're going to be facing it like this. And then on the top of the watch is where you want to attach the buckle portion of the band. So to insert the band, what we're going to do is take the upper portion of the band here and align it with the top side of the watch. And then we're going to simply slide this in until we hear a click. Now you'll really feel it click into place, and once this is in place, this should not move or come out. And then we'll go ahead and do the exact same thing with the lower half of the band as well. Simply aligning it and then sliding it in until you hear that satisfying click. And then to remove the band, all you have to do is click on one of these 2 little cutouts that you'll see on the bottom of the watch. So you have to sort of insert your nail and then you can slide out either side of the band just like that. Very easy to add and remove bands from the Apple Watch. And then again, it's the same way to slide it back into place. Alright, so now that the watch is assembled, let's go ahead and boot it up. Now what you'll have to do is press and hold the side button on the watch. That is this more larger flat button that you'll see on the side of the watch. Press and hold it, and that will bring you to this screen, which will ask you to bring the watch near your iPhone. Now what we're going to do is simply unlock your iPhone and then bring it up close to the watch. And what you'll see is this automatic prompt appearing on the watch on your phone. And if you don't immediately see this, make sure your phone is unlocked and that the 2 literally touch. This should automatically trigger the prompts to appear on your iPhone. And now I'm going to go ahead and take you through the step-by-step setup process. So let's go ahead and press continue. And this will then automatically open the Watch app. Now this will be pre-installed on your iPhone, and the first choice we have here is to set up the watch for yourself or for a family member. Now in this case, I'm going to go ahead and set this up for myself, and then what we're going to have to do is to pair the watch with the phone. As you can see on the watch here, we get this really cool animation show up, and the camera will open up on the iPhone. And what we have to do here is align the 2 so that it sort of falls into this frame. And there we go. And then this is now officially paired the watch with the phone. As you can see, the animation on the iPhone and the watch are now in sync, and we can go ahead and either restore from a backup or set it up as a new watch. So since this is a new watch, let's go ahead and set it up from scratch. And the first option we have here is to choose which wrist you would like to wear the watch on. Now, as someone who is left-handed, I will wear my watch on the right wrist. And then from there, we also have the option to change the digital crown orientation. Now, earlier I mentioned I like to have the digital crown on the lower left of the screen, making it easier to access. So in this case, we're going to actually turn the watch around so that it sits on the lower left of the screen here. And then we'll hit continue. And as you can see, the watch has just oriented and turned around. And there we go. This is now the right way up, and we can go ahead and agree to the terms and conditions, which of course we all read very carefully. Next, we have the option to share watch analytics with Apple. Now, this really is your own choice, but personally, I prefer to not share them, and this can always be changed later in these settings if you choose to. Go ahead and press OK here, and this will give us the option to change the text size. So what we can do is actually drag this slider from left to right, and you can see that right on the watch, the text will change size. So the smaller the text, the more text you can have on your screen at a given time, which means less scrolling, but of course it will be a little bit more difficult to read from far. So scrolling it up to a larger size will make it easier to read, but as you can see, less text will fit on the screen at a time. Personally, I think Apple finds a good balance here, so we'll keep it on the setting that they suggest. We also have the option to bold the text. This again will create a little bit more contrast and may make it easier to read. And once we've found the right size here, we'll go ahead and press continue, and then we can go ahead and add a passcode. So this is definitely something that I suggest doing. This is going to be the passcode you have to type in every morning when you put on your watch for the first time. This will only have to be typed in once, basically every time you take your watch on and off. So let's go ahead and create a passcode here. I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 for now. Keep it simple. This code can be easily guessed. Yes, that is true, but we'll go ahead and use that for now. And then we have to re-enter it. I wonder if I remember it. There we go. And then we have the option to automatically install updates to the watch. So if you have the Apple Watch SE, which is a slightly more recent model, I definitely suggest keeping this on, as this will automatically install those security updates as well as any later features. So let's go ahead and press continue there. And then next we have the option to set up Apple Pay. Now Apple Pay is actually one of my all-time favorite Apple Watch features that I use every day, whether it be to tap into public transport, buying my morning coffee, or even groceries, just using your wrist with a quick tap. And here we have emergency SOS and fall detection. Now these are really great and reassuring features to have on your Apple Watch. Of course, you hope to never use them, but you're still glad that they are there. So automatically this will be on, and it will show you how to activate this. So in this case, you can press and hold the side button to call emergency services. Again, that's this button here. And then if the Apple Watch detects you've had an exceptionally hard fall, it will actually call emergency services for you if you do not respond within a given time. This is a really good feature to have. Again, though, something you hope to never use. And here we have the option to install available apps. Now, you probably have many apps on your iPhone, and quite a few of them will have counter apps for the Apple Watch. Now, you can choose to automatically carry them over. However, if you are more conscious of space, or especially if you're using an older Apple Watch, such as the Series 3, I suggest to not install all right out the gate, as this will take up quite a lot of storage. My suggestion is instead to choose these apps yourself and see which you actually use. So I'm going to go ahead and select choose later. And then next we have the option to change the app view. So we either have the grid view or the list view. I like this grid view. I think it looks quite unique and nice to look at visually. And what it's going to go ahead and do now is sync all the information from my iPhone to my Apple Watch. And this may take a little bit of time. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is leave the two close together and make sure that they're also reasonably charged so that your phone and your watch have above 50% battery. And we're just going to go ahead and let this finish, and then we'll be right back. And we're back. Around 20 minutes later, the Apple Watch has finished syncing as well as setting up, and we're now ready to start using the watch. Now, the first thing you'll see is, of course, the watch face on your home screen. And on the SE, this is the standard watch face. And what you can do to cycle between different watch faces, if you have them installed, is to simply swipe from the left or right directly on the watch face, allowing you to quickly cycle between different watch faces for different occasions. So, for example, during the day-to-day, I prefer to have a more minimalistic watch face, something like the gradient one here. But then say if I'm traveling or working out, I like to make use of those complications and have more information shown at a given time on my watch face. Now let's go ahead and show you how to customize these. So what you can do is simply press and hold onto the watch face, and this will open this secondary menu where you can again cycle between all your different installed watch faces. You can also add a new watch face by scrolling to the right and pressing the new button. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we can go ahead and scroll through all the different options that we have. Now, as you can see, the Apple Watch SE comes packed with many different options, all of which can also be customized further to meet your specific needs. Let's go ahead and add the infograph watch face, as this will definitely display a lot of information right on the watch face here. So once we tap add, we have the option to customize this. So this is going to be broken down into several sections, starting with the color. So we can swipe through the different color options using the digital crown. And as you can see, we can scroll through the right here. You'll see a range of different colors to choose from. Now, in this case here, let's go ahead and keep this as standard. I like this very bright white that is easy to read and see. And then we can go ahead and swipe to the right here to swipe to the next area that we can customize. So in this case, these are the complications. Now, not every watch face will have complications, but many of them will have them in the corners of the watch face. And again, these are almost like small apps within the watch face that will always be refreshing in the background and have up-to-date information. So you can have things like your temperature, your activity trackers, or you can have shortcuts as well to a specific app. So let's say I want to customize this one in the top right here. We can see it's currently set to the weather, but let's say I wanted to launch an app. So let's say I use the workout app very often. I can simply tap that to add a shortcut for that app right onto the watch face. And then to take this even further, this watch face will also allow you to customize these elements in the center of the watch face. So let's say here, for example, we have the solar positioning. We can also add things like, again, shortcuts to specific apps, your calendar, your compass. You can see really the sky's the limit when it comes to the customization here. So let's say we can set an alarm and then you can quickly access that as well from your home screen. And then once you're done, we're just simply gonna press and hold, press on the digital crown, press it again, and then we've now customized and set up our new watch face. While we're on the topic of watch faces, there is a pro tip that I do want to share with you. Now, while having all these different complications is very useful and very practical, these are small applications that do have to refresh constantly in the background. And what this will mean is that they will definitely affect the battery life. So if you want to preserve your battery life on your Apple Watch, or say if you're in an occasion where your battery is running low, I definitely suggest using a more minimalistic watch face such as this face here, which will not have those complications, again, taking less battery over time. Now let's go over some of the essential gestures. First, simply swipe down from the top of the screen to access your notification shade. Now this will look very similar to what you see on the iPhone here, and this will have your notifications grouped by app, and you can tap into them to expand them, or you can swipe to the right to remove a notification simply by pressing the X, and it will then be removed from the list. Alternatively, you can swipe all the way to the top and simply select Clear All to empty your notification shade. Now, notifications can be accessed system-wide, so regardless of which app you're in, you can always swipe down to quickly see any available notifications. Additionally, if you have a new unread notification, you'll actually see a little red dot in the top center of your Apple Watch to indicate that you have an unread notification. Now you can also swipe up from the bottom of the screen to access Control Center. Now this will give you quick access to many different settings, such as the ability to see your battery percentage, as well as you can also turn on power reserve in this option. Now this is something that I really only suggest doing if your battery life is very low, as doing this will pretty much deactivate all of the smart features of your smartwatch, basically only allowing you to tell the time. However, this will automatically be activated when your battery health, when your battery life reaches below 10%. We can also do things like turn on and off the Wi-Fi, and we can also ping your iPhone. So let's say you've lost your iPhone, you can simply press this button to ping it, and there we go. It will then automatically go off until we deactivate it. So this is definitely a useful little feature to have easily accessible right in the control center. And then we can also trigger things like the silent mode. So of course this is to silence any incoming notifications. And then we even have a flashlight. Now this may not look like much, but when you turn the watch, it will actually get brighter, as you can see. It can definitely help you, for example, find your keys in your bag, or maybe your charging cable next to your nightstand at night, or something like that. But definitely don't expect it to light up an entire room. Alright, so now that we've had a look at the watch face as well as how to customize your watch face, let's take a look at the home screen. Now to access the home screen, simply press the digital crown once, and as you can see, this will bring up a grid view of all of your applications that you can swipe between using your finger, and we can also use the digital crown to zoom in or out, bringing more or less apps into view. Now let's go ahead and open a couple apps here. So let's say I'm going to open up settings here, and we're going to go back home. In this case, simply press the digital crown once to go back to your home screen. And let's open up the App Store over here. Great, so now as you can see, we have just opened up two applications, and I want to show you a cool shortcut that will allow you to quickly cycle between your two most recent apps. And that is to simply double click on the digital crown. As you can see, this will then cycle between your settings and the App Store, making it super easy if you're multitasking between two apps, rather than having to go home and then find the other application and open it. All it takes is a simple double click. And then you can again click to go back to your home screen, and then click the digital crown again to return back to the watch face. Earlier in the initial setup section of this video, I showed you how to add Apple Pay to the Apple Watch. Now, how to use Apple Pay is very simple. Simply press the side button twice, and this will automatically bring up your list of cards, allowing you to quickly use Apple Pay. You can then cycle between your cards using the digital crown, and then simply hold your Apple Watch right up to the contactless machine to make a payment. And then to shut down your Apple Watch, simply press and hold the side button, and this will bring up this secondary menu over here, allowing you to swipe to the right to shut down, as well as show your medical ID, and even make an emergency SOS call if you need to. Alright, so now that we've looked at how to use the watch, let me show you how to set up your watch to maximize battery life, performance, as well as features. Now, right on the Apple Watch, if we go into the home screen, you can see that we do have the settings app in the lower left side of the screen, and this is great to have this built into the watch, allowing you to have quick access to your essential settings. But today we're going to be diving deep, and this is why we're going to be using the settings app on the iPhone to get access to everything in a more easy way. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so here we are on my iPhone, and we're going to be looking for the Watch app. Now, this is this application right here. This will come pre-installed on your iPhone, and it's also the same application that was used to set up your watch in the initial setup process. So let's go ahead and enter the application here, and as you can see, we will have your name of the Apple Watch, as well as all of your available watch faces, and here we have a more broader overview of all of your settings, which we'll dive into in just a second. But first, I quickly want to show you how to also add a new watch face right from this application. So you can go ahead and tap the face gallery. This will be found on the bottom of the application, and this will give us a very clear overview of all the different watch faces that we can add to the Apple Watch here. Now, Apple tends to be adding more and more with each update, so it is great to see them add so many different use cases for your different watch faces here. So let's go ahead and find one to add. So I always like the GMT one, so let's go ahead and tap into that. So the first thing we can do here is customize the colors of the rings for the secondary time zone. I actually quite like the standard, this like navy blue and red. I think that looks really great. And then we can also change the complication. So just like we could do on the Apple Watch itself, I do find it to be a little bit easier on the actual iPhone app. Again, you just have that larger screen, and it makes it easier to scroll through larger lists of options such as this here. So again, these are all the complications. We have those four little icons in the corners of the watch face that we can quickly adjust. We can also change things like whether we want the date. So let's say we can actually keep that, or we can also turn that off if we want a slightly more clean look. And then once we're happy with our watch face, all we have to do is tap add. And then as you can see, it has already been added to the Apple Watch, and then we can go ahead and go back to the My Watch section of the app, and there is the new watch face. And if, say, we want to change the watch face right from the app, let's say we want to go back to the gradient one, simply press and hold, and then we can tap to set as watch face. And as you can see, that will then instantly change the watch face on the Apple Watch. Now let's talk about the settings here. So the first thing I suggest you do is go into the notification settings and adjust which apps you want to allow sending notifications to your Apple Watch. Now, receiving notifications on the Apple Watch has to be one of my favorite features, making it so easy to quickly read a notification at a glance without having to reach for my phone. However, I do only allow important notifications to come into my watch, as if I were to let in all notifications, my watch would be going off all day, and this would just be distracting. So instead, I highly recommend you scroll through your list of applications to manually select which apps you want to send notifications through to your watch. So for example, I only recommend things like banking apps, messaging, or things like calls. That way I know that when my watch goes off, it is important and I'll always have a look. Not to mention that having less notifications coming into your watch will also save battery. Now let's go back here and tap into General. And first thing we're going to do is click on Software Update. And this is where I highly recommend turning the option for automatic updates, especially if you have the Apple Watch SE or newer. Apple is constantly adding new updates with new features as well as new security updates that are essential to get for your new watch. Turning on automatic updates will mean it will automatically download and install those updates whenever your Apple Watch is on the charger. And then let's go back here and tap into background app refresh. Now, very similar to notifications, I again suggest you manually go through your list of applications and see which actually need to be refreshing in the background. So this watch has just been set up, and as you can see, everything will be on automatically. But there are many here that simply do not need to be refreshing in the background. Take, for example, the App Store, your calculator, camera remote, let's see, cycle tracking, of course, if you use that. Find device is fine. Okay, I like to keep those on. Heart rate is good on as well. Home does not need it. Memoji, absolutely not. Mindfulness, news, you get the point. There's a lot of applications here that simply do not need to be running in the background, constantly taking battery while you're not using your watch. So I highly recommend going through this and seeing which apps you actually want to be always up to date. And then on the top here, we do have the option to disable it for all apps. Now, while I do recommend turning it off for certain apps, I don't suggest turning it off for all apps, as certain apps such as the activity app or your mail, for example, or even your heart rate, you would want to have refreshing in the background if that data is important to you. Next here, we're going to scroll back and go down to bedside mode. Now, this is a feature that I definitely recommend turning on. And what this will do is whenever you place your watch on the charger, so I have the charger right here, this is the puck that will come in the box. All you have to do to add your Apple Watch to the charger, simply align the two, and then the magnets will pull them together like so, and your watch will then be charging right from the charger. But what this bedside mode does is it will trigger a screen like this, where you can actually see the time at all times when your watch is, say, well, on your bedside charging. And this will also rotate depending on the orientation of the watch. This is very useful if, say, you want to at night quickly tap your screen, see the time, the date, as well as your battery percentage. In other words, just the essential features or the essential information without seeing things like your notifications that might distract you from your sleep. So this will automatically activate whenever you put your watch on the charger, and as you can see, will deactivate once it is removed. And then just beneath that, we have the option to enable screenshots. Now, I enjoy taking screenshots on my iPhone frequently. Simply press the volume button as well as the side button here. And on the Apple Watch, to take a screenshot, all you have to do is press the side button as well as the digital crown at the same time to take a screenshot. As you can see, that will then take a screenshot, and this screenshot will then be automatically saved and carried over to the camera roll on your iPhone to make it very easy to access and share. And then beneath that, we have the storage tab. Now, there's nothing that we're going to be changing here, but just want to show you where this is at, as this will give you a very clear breakdown of exactly what is taking up storage on your watch. Now, especially if you're using an older Apple Watch, such as the Series 3, which will come with very little internal storage, this is definitely an area that is useful to see. As you can see, it will give you a very detailed breakdown of what exactly is on your watch and how much space each app is taking. So you can quickly remove things and clear up some storage on your watch. Now, what we're going to do here is just go back, and then we're going to click on display and brightness. Now, first we have the brightness toggle in the top. Now, as standard, this will be in the center of the switch here. You can either turn this down or turn it up accordingly. My suggestion is to keep it in the middle, as the auto brightness on the Apple Watch is truly excellent. So if, say, you are in a bright enough scenario, say out in the sun, your screen will always turn up to maximum brightness. Whereas if you're using it late at night, you want the brightness to be low, it will automatically keep it very low to not fill up the entire room with light. So keeping this in the center, in my experience, has just worked perfectly. And then we can also, once again, change the text size as well as the turn on and off bold text. These, again, were the settings that we also went through during the initial setup process. And then we can also go into the wake duration section. Now, this is something that I would normally keep at 15 seconds. Now, for the video here, I want my screen on for slightly longer, but normally I would definitely turn this down to 15 seconds, as again, this is going to save a lot of battery over time. On the topic of saving battery, I highly recommend changing your Siri settings. So we're just going to go back here and tap into Siri. Now, Siri is a great feature on the Apple Watch, something I use very often, whether it be for smaller things like asking for the temperature, setting a reminder, but also for bigger things like finding me a route on how to get to a set destination. But there are many different ways to actually trigger Siri. So automatically, as standard, all of these will be on. So we also have the option for listen for, I'm not going to say the trigger word to not activate your Siris here, but this is a feature I really suggest turning off, as by default this will be on, and what this will mean is that your Apple Watch microphones will be constantly on listening for that activation phrase. Turning this off will turn off that feature and simply save a lot of battery over time. And there's many different other ways to access Siri. So you can also press and hold the digital crown. You can even just raise to speak. Both of these I highly suggest keeping on and using. And you can also have the option to turn on and off voice feedback. So whether you want Siri to just show the information on the display or to read it out to you. And of course, we can also choose the volume as well. Now, personally, I prefer to keep all of these off as I don't want it to disrupt others in the room, but you can have these on if you like. And then diving deeper into the sounds here, let's go into the sounds and haptics section. So first we can change the alert volume. We can simply scroll through here to turn this up or down. As standard, this will be roughly in the middle. Now, as I mentioned before, I like to have my watch on silent mode, and this will silence all notifications coming in. Kind of like my phone, I always have this on silent too, as I think the haptic feedback on the Apple Watch really is great, making sure you never miss a notification, but then not being disruptive enough to yourself or say others in the room, as only you will be notified when something comes in. So I like to keep this on silent, but this really is a personal choice. Though again, I think having your watch on silent will save a little bit of battery again, because it doesn't have to trigger the speaker. And then let's go back here into the passcode section. Now, of course, you're going to want to unlock your watch and definitely use a better passcode than the one that I have here. But first of all, we can, of course, turn off the passcode, something I do not recommend doing. We can change the passcode, and then we can also have the option to unlock with iPhone. Now, this is something that I definitely like. What this will mean is when you put your watch on in the morning and you are using your phone at the same time, the Apple Watch will detect that you're using your phone in the same hand and that your phone has been unlocked, and will then automatically unlock your Apple Watch too, and you get a nice little notification here on the top of your iPhone screen when that happens. So I found this to be a useful feature, just saving me from having to type in that passcode in the morning. Now, we also have erase data. Now, this is similar to where on the iPhone, where if you type in your password incorrectly enough times, it will actually erase all of the data on the Apple Watch. And this is something I definitely recommend turning on, unless you're someone who is very prone to forgetting their password. But in theory, you should always have a backup of your Apple Watch as well. So I definitely suggest keeping this on as well. This way, if your watch gets stolen or lost, you know that at least your data is safe. And then now going back to what is one of the most important features that you will hopefully never have to use, and that is emergency SOS. So earlier in the setup process, we did turn on both of these features, but again, if they aren't on already on your Apple Watch, make sure that these are on. So again, we have the hold the side button to automatically dial emergency services if needed, and we also have fall detection. So if Apple Watch detects you've had a hard fall, it will ask if you're okay on screen, and will ask you to actually confirm that, because if you don't, it will automatically call emergency services, assuming that you are unconscious. This has literally saved lives over the years, and is a feature that, again, hopefully you will never need to use, but it's just reassuring to know that it's there. So now that we've looked at how to set up your Apple Watch, as well as how to use it and then change the essential settings, I want to take you through some of the cool features and apps right on the Apple Watch. So to start, let's say I have a song playing on my iPhone. I'm going to go ahead and press play. And as you can see, automatically the now playing screen will show up on my Apple Watch. And this will allow me to actually change the music controls. You can see I can pause or play my music right from the watch. You can imagine, say your phone is in your pocket and you're walking down a busy street. You quickly want to switch to the next track, or change your, or simply play or pause your music. You can also actually change the volume. So scrolling on the digital crown, we can go ahead and turn up or down the volume. I'm gonna have to make sure that this stays off. I do not want to get a copyright strike. But you can imagine, for example, having AirPods in your ears. You can quickly change the volume right from your Apple Watch. Very useful feature to have. Let's go ahead and pause this music here. Now, a big part of the Apple Watch is, of course, its workout features. So how do you actually start a workout? Well, first we're going to go into the home screen, and then we're going to click on the workout app. So again, this is this little man running behind a green backdrop, and this will allow us to scroll through all the different workout options here. And you can see there are many. I'll be honest, most of the ones I use are outdoor walk and outdoor run. I'm not really big for cycling or rowing machines. I just don't really use those things. But for the ones that do, the options are there. And then to start a workout, simply tap on it. You'll get a 3-second countdown, and you can see it will automatically keep track of those essential information that you can quickly see at a glance, such as your heart rate and of course your calories burnt, etc. And then once you're done, simply swipe to the right to either end the workout. You can also pause it, and if, say, you've gone swimming, you can also press the water lock button, and this will expel any water that may have entered the speaker unit. So something I recommend doing if ever you were to submerge your watch. And then we have the weather app. Now, the weather app is very similar to that on the iPhone. It will actually sync all of your information from your iPhone. So if, say, you have any set destinations, this will automatically carry over and allow you to quickly tap into a location here and see the hourly weather report, as well as a weekly breakdown of the weather. Something that may seem very simple, but is actually very useful to have. Again, something I like to use right before leaving home, or if, say, I'm making plans for the weekend and I just want to see what the weather is like. Again, this is also where Siri comes in. I can, for example, ask, is it going to rain today?
Yes, I think we'll see some rain.
Of course, we'll see rain. I do live in London after all, but this will give you a quick breakdown of the weather report as well. And now I want to show you the calculator app. Now this is of course a very simple application, but does have a pretty neat feature. So let's say you've bought dinner here and you have, I don't know, $89 and you want to calculate the tip. They have a very simple tip button that you can tap to then automatically calculate a tip for you. So as standard, it will do a 10% tip here, and you can use a digital crown to swipe up. So let's say, I don't know, 20%. And then we can also see, let's say you want to divide the meal with some different people. So you have multiple people. So let's say you're eating with, I don't know, 4 people. Then it will show you exactly how much each person has to pay, including that tip. A neat little feature that I can definitely see coming in useful during day-to-day use. And then we have the Heart app. Now, of course, the Apple Watch SE doesn't have certain heart features such as the Series 7 with things like the ECG or your blood oxygen measuring, but it will, of course, track and show your heart rate as well as give you those high to low heart rate notifications. And the Heart app will give you a very good breakdown of what your walking average, your resting rate is, the neat little graph here on the top to show your highs and lows and just sort of how your heart rate progresses throughout the day. I find this to be quite fascinating data that I sometimes like to look at just to see how high my heart rate has gone during a workout or to see how low it is during a day of no workout. And then a feature that I really enjoy both on my iPhone as well as my Apple Watch is voice memos. Now, I don't know about you, but what I like to do sometimes is after I've had a long meeting, I like to narrate some of my thoughts and key points out loud just so I don't forget them. So what you can do is go into the voice memos app and then we can simply tap to record, and as you can see, it will now automatically start a recording using the microphone that is right on your wrist. So again, this will be relatively close to your mouth, so you get a very clear recording of what you're saying. And we can go ahead and press stop here, and this will then be automatically saved amongst your list of recordings. We can then play this back, we can skip through it, and we can also go ahead and share it or delete it as well. Another cool feature on the Apple Watch is the ability to send and receive text messages. So what I can do is tap on the Messages app. I will go ahead and add a recipient, and then to type the message, I can choose out of a list of standard responses that Siri has here. So you can see the sorry, I can't talk now, see you soon. These are just more common responses, and you can also add to these from the Watch app on your phone. But then if we go to the top here, we can also actually draw and actually type characters or send emojis this way. But my favorite way is to dictate text. So go ahead and press the microphone in the bottom here, and I can say something like, "Hello, how are you doing today?" There we go, not bad. So it took a little bit of time, but then once it is done, all we have to do is press done, and then the text will be added to the message, and then we can go ahead and send it. Now it's just gonna keep recording, so let's go ahead and exit out of this app now. But that is a really cool feature, something again that I like to use quite often. And then I wanna quickly touch on Siri. Now throughout the video, I've mentioned that I use Siri throughout the day, but Siri can also be used for more complicated functions as well, such as finding directions for a given route. So let's say here, I'm just gonna do a quick example. Give me directions from Waterloo to Bond Street. And there we go. It will then automatically get the different public transport options. We'll give it a second to load here. But then very quickly, it's found both of those directions. And then as you can see, it will give me different transportation methods to use. I can go ahead and tap into it to start. And then it will give me those quick turn-by-turn directions, step-by-step, breaking down the trip so I can quickly get to my destination. All right, so that was a long video. Congratulations if you've made it to the end. All of this should really give you a good idea on how to set up, optimize, and use your new Apple Watch. For me, the Apple Watch has become an accessory that I really can't imagine my day without. And it really is the finer things, such as Apple Pay, Maps, receiving notifications, and Siri, that make the Apple Watch an essential product that I use every day. Let me know if you have any questions. If you are interested, I will leave all the purchase links down in the description, as well as links to all of my other Apple Watch content. I highly recommend watching my full iPhone 13 guide if you'd like to learn more about the iPhone 13 as well. As well as this, I will also link my Apple Watch SE review to hear more of my thoughts on this fantastic watch. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and take care.